All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers in today's video. Now, OTAs, minicamp, that stuff is done. We don't have training camp until around a month from the time of this recording. And before you know, preseason football is going to be here. And you're going to be seeing Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Patrick Queen, all your rookies. It's a good year to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Now, I just saw Russell Wilson once again got flamed from this former Pro Bowler offensive lineman. And we're going to talk about that in just 1 second. But the reasoning is, we might see Pittsburgh make a move, but I just want to give you on paper what Pittsburgh has already, because I was reading this great article on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, and they were going through projected stats for everybody on the offensive side of things. And it's perfectly fine. In fact, it's good. And that's where I think my kind of opinion comes on the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is, I think it's a night and day difference from last season. It's a brand new quarterback. It's a brand new offensive coordinator. And you've got guys like George Pickens, your running back tandem. It's a good group. And now you've got this fresh offensive line with a couple of new pieces, but it's not great. And the only reason I'm saying that is I still want, and I'm still kind of expecting Pittsburgh to make some move at wide receiver outside of Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, Quez Watkins, etc. I'm not saying they're going to trade for Brandon Ayuk, but I do hope they make some type of move. I don't think it'll be a Michael Thomas or Hunter Renfrow, but let's get into today's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, hit that like button, hit that sub button per usual. If you haven't already, if we can try and get this video to 100 likes, I would really appreciate that. Thank you, Steelers fans, for keeping this channel alive all throughout the offseason. So once again, these projections are from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. I'll try and run through it because we got a lot to discuss. Russell Wilson, this is based on him being, the 17-game starter. And I don't know if you guys saw the Justin Fields video. I think, who was the running back who was making fun of him? Le'Veon Bell was making fun of Justin Fields' slowness and lack of anticipation. I guarantee you Russell Wilson will start every game unless he gets injured, all right? Or, if Pittsburgh goes like 1-7, he'll probably be benched. Russell Wilson projected stats, 3,800 passing yards. It's about 225 passing yards per game, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, very similar to what we saw last season. Here's the thing with Russell Wilson. You're not going to see statistics anymore of him averaging 290 passing yards per game. The good news is he doesn't have to. That's why you got guys like Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, George Pickens. But this running back group is really solid, and they are going to lean heavily on it in Arthur Smith's system. But you don't need 290 passing yards a game from Russell Wilson anymore. And here's why. He's efficient, he's effective, and he does not turn the football over. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last season. Russ just does not make stupid, silly mistakes. And we saw Mr. Kenny Pickett do way too much of that the last 2 seasons. You're also going to see a really efficient completion percentage, so they're going to be moving the chains and getting the job done. What I want to see it translate into is red zone efficiency. That is extremely important heading into this upcoming season. We'll touch on that in just a second. But if you get those stats from Russell Wilson, 3,800 passing yards, 25 passing touchdowns, 9 picks, you will make the playoffs. I don't care how hard the division is. I don't care how hard the conference is. You will make the playoffs with a quarterback stat line like that. Now, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, this is where it gets fun because Arthur Smith loves to run the football, and he's got 2 great running backs. Keep in mind, Najee Harris contract year, so I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. I actually think his projected stats are a little bit low, but here they are. 249 carries for 1,037 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, and then 150-ish receiving yards. And then you got Jalen Warren, 160 carries, 834 yards, 5 touchdowns, and then about 400 receiving yards. Keep in mind, we don't know how much we'll see of Justin Fields, but I would guarantee you he rushes for over 300 yards. So Pittsburgh, and Russ is also going to get some rushing yards. Pittsburgh should easily be over 2,000 rushing yards this upcoming season, and that is going to win you football games, and that is hopefully going to help win this team playoff games. But even if this is Najee Harris last year as a Pittsburgh Steeler, this is going to be one of the better rushing units in the National Football League, in my opinion. Now, this is where things get interesting. It's the receiving room, all right? Now, we know George Pickens is a freaking stud, and he's projected on this website 78 catches for 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. Wide receiver number 2 is actually going to be Mr. Tight End number 1 in Pat Freiermuth, who I don't even know how many times I need to say it more. underutilized last season. I don't care if Matt Canada was calling the plays or if it was the interim offense coordinator. Pat Freiermuth had a horrible season. I know he was injured, and that certainly didn't help, but this dude was as underutilized for a guy of his caliber that I just really don't understand. Pat Freiermuth is a 600, 700 receiving yard tight end at a minimum. 67 catches, 683 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That works for me. Now, wide receiver or statistical, receiving leader number 3 is going to be your rookie, Roman Wilson. Once again, based off of this website's projections, 45 catches, 559 yards, 4 touchdowns. A little underwhelming. But this would be fine. What I'm hoping for Roman Wilson this upcoming season is 700 receiving yards. I think that would be huge because of this wide receiver or this tight end tandem. I apologize. Because of Jaylen Warren's ability to catch the football, I don't need another 1,000-yard receiver. Once again, going back to the Brandon Ayuk trade rumors, they don't necessarily need a Brandon Ayuk. I think it would actually turn them into Super Bowl contenders if they were to acquire him. But Roman Wilson, about 600 receiving yards, I think that's on par for rookie expectations. This is where it gets fun here because their leading 4th receiver is going to be Calvin Austin III, who once again, like most players on the Pittsburgh Steelers offense last season, extremely underused last season. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that Kenny Pickett can't throw a football all that accurately in the deep. It felt like, honestly, Calvin Austin had a walk-in touchdown every single game he played last season. His snap count was not what I wanted it to see, and I really hope and I really expect Arthur Smith to change that because Calvin Austin's speed, whether it's running it or yards after catch or just getting open, there's potential there, man. So his projections were 35 catches, 458 yards, and 2 touchdowns. If I get a season of Calvin Austin with 500 receiving yards or more this upcoming season, I will just say it. I don't think there's a need for a more solidified wide receiver too. But we have not seen that from Calvin Austin because last year was pretty much his rookie season. And once again, underutilized in that offense. Real quick, because we actually ran out of time to talk about the entire purpose of today's video. Darnell Washington, 25 catches, 210 yards, 3 touchdowns. I would like to see like 300 receiving yards from Darnell Washington. My only concern is Arthur Smith's going to use him mainly as a blocking tight end, which is perfectly fine because he's really good at it. But as long as we see over 30 catches for Darnell Washington this upcoming season, I will be pleased. And then finally, Van Jefferson, and I think this is exactly what he's going to do this upcoming season, which is why it pegs the question, do you want more wide receiver help? And here's what the projection was: 14 catches, 167 yards, and a touchdown. So that's their projections based on paper. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and let me know. Are you fine with the Steelers offense as it stands right now, or do you want to see them make a move? Let me know what that move is down below. Peace.